Welcome Ian, thanks for coming over, and I'm excited to kind of have a conversation around the work that you do within the local community around Ashby.
Things like Ashby Connect, it's a very sort of outward sign that we're committed to getting involved in the community. You can only really understand the community and help it if you're becoming embroiled in it.
Ashby Connect is where we met, so kind of keen to explore some of the journey and the learnings that you've had from building a local network.
It's about being part of the fabric of the Ashby business community. Putting people in touch with each other means that those businesses thrive, and when those businesses thrive, it means that Ashby and its people are thriving and the business community keeps growing.
But before kind of going into your kind of community outreach and how you support Ashby in the local area, I wanted to find out a bit more about you and why is it you do what you do?
I suppose I fell into law a little bit. I chose law at university to study, I think just through an interest. Well, I did it at A-level in fact as well. Previous to that, I was probably heading towards some kind of sport type career. But yeah, the A-level law I found really fascinating and figured I'd make more money doing law than sport. Yes, fell into doing a law degree, but doing that through interest rather than specifically thinking I'd become a lawyer. But yeah, then just sort of the path is quite clear. If you choose it, you go from law degree to either barrister or solicitor, and I went down the solicitor route, and yes, here I am now.
And what's influenced you along the way?
I think it's largely just a bit of my competitive nature and just drive really to succeed and do the best that I can. Once you become a solicitor, the natural career path, if you want it, is to try and become partner and business owner. That is the pinnacle of the career, and so that's what I became somewhat laser focused on once I got into the profession. So yes, I'm obviously very pleased and proud to be where I am now.
Is that important, do you feel, to kind of have that focus and think longer term kind of within career progression?
I've always believed in looking forward and having something to aim towards and to pursue. And I guess it's just about sort of getting the best out of yourself and pushing yourself. So yeah, having something like that to aim towards gives that extra nudge to do your best and try and prove yourself and try to achieve.
Where does that drive come from then? Is that from a young age? Is that something that you've learned over the years, or?
I think it's almost a natural trait. I think I've always been quite competitive and driven. I suppose maybe I'm a little bit stubborn as well. So when I see something that I think I want and can achieve, I won't stop till I get there.
And is that, because you mentioned that you were thinking also sports could be an avenue, is that partly from sports and being involved at a young age?
I think so, yeah. I think I was sort of naturally drawn towards sport, again, just through competitive spirit. I think also financial stability. I mean, that's always been something that's been important to me, to try and get into a position where I have financial security. And so becoming established and stable in the career was always a sort of, again, a main focus for me to try and achieve that.
It's interesting, we've got a client called Active Together and we've been doing lots of work all around the sports sector and the transferable skills from either having sports as a hobby or people who work within the sports sector, and how that can transfer into sectors like law and finance and such forth. And it's interesting how those traits can kind of come from being competitive in a sports environment to then wanting them to be driven in your career.
I think there's huge similarities. I mean, A-level PE was also one of the A-levels I did, and during that you study things like the psychology and the sociology of sport. But certainly psychology-wise, I think it's fascinating how it creates those that are sports minded, I suppose you're almost wired up slightly differently if you were very competitive. I'm not saying I was ever some kind of high level athlete in any way, but yeah, I think just having that basic sporting instinct, yeah, hugely transferable in business. I've had quite a few sort of presentations that I've seen from sports people like Roger Black and Matthew Said, the table tennis man. And yeah, they can always talk very eloquently about sports and, again, psychology. And they can sort of talk to you about how to transfer that across into business and corporate world. So yeah, it's useful. I think it's been helpful having those natural competitive traits, because it gives you the grounding for getting on in the business world.
Mm. So those kind of traits and some of those values that you kind of have, are they translated into Fishers and within then the team and the culture at Fishers?
I'd like to think so, yeah. It wasn't that long ago that we created some new visions and values for Fishers. And obviously I was part of the team that wrote them and created them. And yeah, we've got things like excel, which is to obviously try and be the best that you can, do the best, provide the best service. Collaborate, which is obviously about working together in teams and working together with the community, with clients, with contacts, which teamwork, sports, connection again. But yeah, I think a lot of what I believe in and what I think has helped me to succeed will have fed into what we put down as our visions and values for Fishers.
You mentioned there collaboration and that sense of community, and it's something which I can see looking outside in with Fishers, is that you're a real community-based company, which often isn't the case within, kind of sort of the legal law organisations. Why is Fishers so community-focused?
Well, I think we see the value in it, we see the importance of it. Fishers has been in Ashby for over 200 years. So in terms of our position within Ashby, we feel that we're part of the fabric of that community. We've prospered and grown as a business over the years. We want to see Ashby and the community, the business community, prosper and grow as well with us. We see lots of benefits with being involved in the community, and get back to collaboration again, that when you collaborating with others and understanding what's going on around you and what people are up to, just gives us and them more opportunities to improve and, as I say, grow and prosper.
Nice. And from somebody who's attended Ashby Connect, pretty much from the beginning, I've seen that and more importantly felt it. And from talking to then other attendees, other businesses there's always a really nice, warm, inclusive feel. And, there's a lot of networks out there and some of them certainly don't have that kind of sort of like sense of community and that kind of commitment for everybody to prosper. Sometimes it can be a little bit one-sided. Tell me a bit about then the journey and the vision for Ashby Connect and how you've kind of sort of come about setting up such an established, well-run network.
Well, I guess the first thing, I've been in Ashby for over 10 years now. I have worked in Nottingham and Derby, and in terms of networking scenes in those cities, it can be quite vibrant. There's lots of networking going on, and Ashby seemed, I suppose to use a word I like, quite discombobulated when it came to networking. There just wasn't really anything regular, anything that was attracting a sort of good crowd routinely. So it was something that we at Fishers, and I was one of the people leading the way on it, that Ashby just seemed to need a networking group or an opportunity for people to network. we know there's a lot of businesses and a lot of successful people in and around Ashby running their businesses. So yeah, we thought that there must be an opportunity to create a space or an event that people could come to. So that's where Ashby Connect was born. For us, obviously, we wanted to reach out and connect with businesses that we weren't already associated with and make new business friends, I guess. But also, it was about creating the network so that all these businesses could network and connect with each other. So yes, we set about it almost 2 years ago now, set about creating a group. As I say, I've done a lot of networking myself in bigger cities. I think one of the things that frustrated me with networking was that it was often very anonymous. You could go into a room and you don't necessarily know anybody. You may have a few conversations, you leave, and then you don't speak to those people again or don't ever see them, especially in big cities where there's so many people doing the same thing. But with Ashby, I thought that there was a lot of scope for that continuity, that the same people would hopefully come, not necessarily week in, week out, but at least people would get to a point where there's familiar faces, which was very appealing again, because I think networking works better when there is some accountability. And if you will trust people a bit more when you've met them more than once, and you can build those rapports. And giving someone work is a bit of a leap of faith. So you want to know that they're going to do it and do it well. And if you've got these regular meetings, the next month you've got to face those people, it gives an incentive for people to do a good job if they didn't have enough incentive already. So yeah, we set about with Ashby Connect, and I had quite a few criteria for what we wanted, just because, again, from personal experience, some networking events created barriers for me to attendance. So things like the fact it's 12 till 2 and it's come when you like, leave when you like. That's the kind of thing that I would have found invaluable in the past, because people are busy. You can't always get there at 12 on the dot. And if it's an environment where it's anything like uncomfortable to enter the room late, again, people would see that they've missed that sort of initial window and then just not come at all. So we wanted it to be relaxed. We wanted it to be easy for people to attend. The location was important because we wanted parking. We wanted a room that was big enough and spacious, and gave people the opportunity to mingle, move around. Ashby Connect was born. It started off small, and it has grown organically, which we hoped it would do. And I think that you were probably there on the first month when we had probably about 10 to 15 people in total. Whereas the last one we did a few weeks ago was nearly 100 people in the room. So it has been really successful, and it's great to see people enjoying it and people getting stuff out of it. And obviously your words there earlier were, it's really good to hear that people see it for what it is and that it's a success in people's eyes.
Yeah, well, it certainly has got a relaxed feel, and there's not any pressure. And I think also we're talking about, kind of traits and values, but actually the value of the network also translates to then the people attending, because I've never been anyone's tried to hard sell me within the network. And that's, as you were mentioning there, it's about building relationships, and there are then some regular faces, and you kind of like look forward to just going and having a conversation with people, finding out what's going on, how people are doing, rather than this pressure to sell or refer. And because that's not really how business grows. And for a company that's been going for 200 years, it certainly doesn't come from just a one-off quick sale. It's about building relationships and establishing those. What lessons have you learned over the 2 years that you feel has been the kind of magic to kind of grow such an established network?
I suppose one of the obvious responses would be perseverance, because at first it was very quiet, and it's about having that belief that give it time and give it the opportunity to grow. And yeah, we always knew that it was going to organically grow, hopefully, because if it works, just because the word wasn't out there on day one, people will tell their friends, tell others, and more people come along in the future. So yeah, we persevered with it, and I think the first 3 or 4 months were quite small numbers, and then all of a sudden it started to pick up, and that organic exponential growth kicked in. We've adapted, which is always important, and it's a slightly different model now to what it was on day one. As you know, we have the sponsorship slot. I'll be honest, that was something that on day one I was probably against the idea of, but again, this is all about learning and listening and adapting. So the sponsorship slot came about because of wanting to get some help with the costs of running the event. But the positives, the sort of happy accident, I guess, was that the attendees very much liked having the sponsorship slot. It gave people an opportunity to eat their food, which is a minor thing, but when you're busy talking and networking, just having that space to stop, listen to the sponsor talking and eat. So yeah, people like that, and people liked the fact that they were learning about other businesses, charities. We've had quite a few of those, so I've learnt about charities I didn't even know existed and didn't know that those sort of opportunities and functions were out there. And also, I think some people said it gave them like an icebreaker for the second half of the networking, that you've all just listened to whatever the sponsor had to say, and it makes it very easy to go into the conversation in the second half to talk about what you've just heard. So things like that, they've created all sorts of little added benefits. So yeah, adapting in ways like that.
What's been the biggest return for you then as Fishers? Because it's got to be a driver for you to continue this. Why have you had that persistence, and what are you getting from running a network like Ashby Connect?
We want to connect ourselves with other businesses, and we hope that people that attend, we completely understand that most of the people coming into the room don't need a lawyer on that day or for weeks afterwards potentially, but we hope that people will obviously get to know and understand Fishers and understand what we're about, and will have us sort of first name on their team sheet when they do need lawyers, or when they're talking to friends and family and a legal issue crops up. We'd hope that Fishers, our name is getting out there such that people will recommend us. It's about being part of the fabric of the Ashby business community. Again, putting people in touch with each other means that those businesses thrive. And when those businesses thrive, it means that Ashby and its people are thriving and the business community keeps growing. And that will hopefully feed back into us and what we do, because obviously we've got a wide range of services we offer for individuals and businesses. So if Ashby is doing well, then a percentage of that will hopefully come back to us, and we'll carry on doing well.
No, that's really admirable, and I think it's so important for companies of whatever size, but certainly established companies like Fisher, to invest in their local community, because it helps build their brand, but also, as you said, the local economy, and us all contributing and helping each other to thrive is so important, because yes, there can be competition, but then it's collaborative competition, and it's about helping each other out to all gain and all prosper, rather than trying to squash people. And often it's quite an old school kind of approach, but often in the image of organisations and firms in the legal sector, there is a bit more competitive edge, and I don't know if that's kind of more 90s American TV, which has kind of created then that kind of sort of like image and that persona. But certainly for me, looking outside in, Fishers doesn't have that.
I think, again, it's really nice to hear that kind of feedback, and I think that is one of the things that Fishers as an organisation and the people that are at Fishers, we often talk about us being a very friendly firm and friendly people. And it's almost a bit of a USP because people buy off people, and certainly think that lawyers, for a lot of people, there is a bit of a preconception about what dealing with a lawyer might be like. And there's the classic stuffy, sort of pompous image, and it can create a bit of a fear and a barrier to wanting to approach a lawyer. And actually, I mean, that's another point about Ashby Connect, that we tend to have quite a few of our people at the event. And that's another thing it helps with, is it breaks down that barrier that are lawyers difficult to talk to? Are they stuffy and use big words all the time that people wouldn't understand? And hopefully when people talk to us at Ashby Connect, that's what they take away, is actually these guys are very approachable, very friendly, and that they would want to pick the phone up and do business with us or tell other people to do that. I think also in certainly my line of work, lawyers have to work collaboratively with each other, because if you're doing a transaction, I don't know whether you're buying an office block for a client, there is a lawyer acting on the other side for the seller. So you're effectively working as a team to achieve the same end goal. So it is a bit less confrontational and a bit more collaborative a lot of the time. But obviously it does depend on the area of work, because if you're doing dispute resolution and court-based work, it is often very much one side against the other. So it's different practice areas operate in different ways. But yeah, lawyers they are generally friends with each other. And often we get work off each other because we have strict professional rules about things like conflicts of interest. So if I get approached by two people in the same transaction and I can't act for both of them because the rules say so, then I'm going to pass one of those parties to another lawyer. So yeah, we try and sort of collaborate with other lawyers, because actually, counterintuitively, that can get us work if we are seen as, good lawyers to deal with.
It's interesting. I've met a number of your colleagues in the team at Ashby Connect, and kind of sort of different events that you guys have been involved with, and there is a really friendly, kind of approachable feel. Do you think by having things like networks with Ashby Connect helps to kind of build that employee kind of sort of value proposition, your employer branding aspect? So internally, is that helping to think about then staff engagement, them sharing similar values to how then Fishers is community focused? Does that help with that?
I guess so, because I know the sort of cliched comment of a lot of it comes from the top down. So I think our management are very friendly and motivating and approachable. And yeah, hopefully that is feeding into the staff. And yes, in terms of the initiatives that we have, things like Ashby Connect, it's a very sort of outward sign that we're committed to getting involved in the community and being collaborative with as many people as possible. So we have got other schemes as well, where we have like Helping Hands, which is we give staff members half a day paid leave per year to get involved in volunteering projects within the local community. And yes, we also do bits for charity. So we've got charities that we sponsor, that we support each year. In fact, we offer the charities a free sponsorship slot at Ashby Connect as well, so they can get their message out there and hopefully generate some more income. And we do things like our current charity, we've done food collections, so like our own internal food bank. And yeah, they're all initiatives where, again, hopefully the staff see it for what it is, which is us trying to give a little bit back and almost be sort of responsible corporate citizens.
Obviously, for Fishers, though, you're a for-profit organisation. So for a company or a business owner, leader who's watching this, and they're thinking, what would be the return on that investment? Because there's a lot of give and that. And I think it's great for then your, community brand, but can you see kind of what then the return is? And that might not just be financially, but what type of return does that, and what benefits are there for doing all of this community giving?
Well, I suppose it goes back to the whole, when everyone else grows and prospers, then we'll hopefully benefit from that as an organisation. We're not leaving Ashby anytime soon, so we want and need Ashby to be a successful business community and community generally. I mean, again, with the employees, we are nothing without having the staff that can do the work, and I think employees value this kind of approach. People, I think, want to work somewhere where they think and feel that it's not just a harsh machine that's trying to make money and do nothing else. So being involved in charitable events and community spirited work, then I think it hopefully gives the staff a sense of pride to be part of Fishers.
I completely see that, and it's interesting whenever I do see that you guys are recruiting it. You think about then all of the community aspects that you do, and it's so important to have those kind of attributes, because then people get behind then what the values are, what the vision, what the purpose of Fishers is, and they'll invest more in and help then your clients, help the community and everyone to grow. I can see that outside in, and speaking to a few kind of sort of like colleagues, friends from around the area, you've got that brand that people trust and know that you're kind of investing back in to then the community, which also then translates to then your employees being more proud to be part of it.
Well, as a law firm, it can be quite hard to have like a USP or a factor that differentiates you from other law firms, because fundamentally you're all providing the same sort of services, but that's where we try to differentiate, is having the right people so that they are friendly and approachable, and instilling these sort of visions and values, and things like the active involvement in the community and things like Ashby Connect. Again, they feed into where we try to, I suppose, add a bit of value and therefore differentiate ourselves slightly.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier that you kind of have listened to people, adapted and changed kind of sort of like along the journey, establishing Ashby Connect. What lessons have you learned of what not to do with establishing a network? Because there's always peaks and troughs. We have to fail in order to learn sometimes. What have been some of those main lessons that if you could turn back time, you wouldn't have done, or you've learned a lot from?
I suppose one of the changes was that initially it was in collaboration with another entity, and for a few reasons that didn't work out. So we effectively cut ties and went it alone. So yeah, there were some lessons learned there, I guess, and that's partly to do with the direction, the control, the input. If the two visions aren't completely aligned, then there's a risk it's not going to work, and that's kind of what happened with us. So it's not really what you're after, but the food order, we kept getting that wrong.
No, I think food's really important. It's one of the attractions, isn't it, to then the network. You need to get that right.
Yeah, I mean, I think on day one, the food was, I think, quite big and heavy and sort of stodgy food in big sort of portions. Not very good for when you're sort of trying to network with someone and eat a bit more discreetly. So yes, we worked with the beaches and tried to change the menu a little bit and make it more user-friendly. I mean, we're continuing to learn. That's the other thing. So we, as you probably know, we do ask people for feedback. We have an issue at the moment with the room being a bit too noisy. I suppose, as some people have put in the feedback itself, we're slight victims of our own success, because numbers having grown the way they have, the room's quite busy and it has quite a low ceiling. So the noise level rises and people then have to compete with the noise levels, which makes it worse. So we've had a couple of months where people have struggled to hear what others are saying. The parking isn't perfect, there isn't quite enough, but obviously we can't really do anything about that. But all these things, you know, we're asking for the feedback, we're listening to it, and we're constantly looking at how we might improve it going forwards. So yeah, Ashby Connect may well change in the coming months, and we might make further changes to and adaptations to make it more successful.
So going back to what you were saying about your own career, you're driven and, you know, forward thinking. Have you got future plans for Ashby, or is it still kind of sort of seeing how it kind of matures organically?
Yeah, I suppose at the moment we're on a sort of a bit of a period of reflection in that we've had all this growth. We've got these numbers that are now averaging over 80 people attending. It's not exponential growth now, so one of the things I want to do is look at how those numbers pan out, and we may reach a plateau, which might then determine what we do in terms of venue and next steps. I think if it continues to grow at a similar rate to what it is now, then it would almost be inevitable. We'd have to have a different venue because I think we're almost at capacity where we are now. So yeah, I mean, we are constantly looking forward. We want it to carry on. We enjoy it. We get benefits from it. We think other people are enjoying it. The feedback seems to be very positive, everyone I speak to. So yeah, it's sort of all very positive, and there's no real reason for us to be thinking about stopping it anytime soon, possibly even expanding into other locations and maybe spreading the net. But that might not work because one of the things I hadn't necessarily expected was the reach that it has and the distances people travel to come to it, which again is all very positive, and it's great to see. So yeah, I suppose we're always thinking onwards and upwards and aiming to just keep improving and make it better.
That's brilliant, and long may it thrive, because it's such an important part for bringing the community together. And I love it how people are travelling in from Birmingham and, you know, kind of all over the Leicestershire to kind of sort of like come and enjoy the community. So what inspires you to thrive? Now you're kind of established, not that you've reached the pinnacle of your career, but you said that you were driven and you wanted to kind of get to that, you know, kind of sort of like senior level. What really inspires you to thrive?
I suppose I just always want to do my best, really, and be proud of what I'm doing. I think if I did anything half-heartedly, I wouldn't necessarily be proud of what I've done. So that's one of my sort of mentalities, is just give everything your best and try to excel. So that drives me forward, I think.
Nice. What tips would you give to other business leaders who, you know, want to invest within their people for their company to grow and to do similar, you know, kind of outward reaching community activities like what Fishers does? What tips would you give for a business leader to maybe start thinking in that direction?
I think it's important that individuals within the organisation all feel valued and respected, and are given an opportunity to grow. And I think we always try to identify and develop the individual's strengths, and then management need to be patient and supportive, and hopefully those people will then go on to fulfill their potential, and that's beneficial to them as individuals and to the organisation as a whole.
That's brilliant. And yeah, obviously there's a big team that kind of sort of like helps and enables all of your employees to kind of feel that way. What are your kind of sort of superpowers when it kind of comes to inspiring that, you know, your team? Because everyone has their own kind of approach, certain kind of a certain style. Do you have a certain superpower that you add to then this mix?
I like to think that I am quite calm and measured, and giving people time, I think, is crucial, because people tend to come to me with problems or concerns or reassurance on a particular matter, and I often think that if you're obstructive or dismissive of those people, they will obviously go away from that without having their problem solved. They're not going to feel valued and respected, and they're then carrying the burden of whatever it was they were trying to resolve. So, and that could even then develop into some form of resentment or anger, and that's not good for them or us in terms of trying to achieve whatever it is we're trying to achieve. So yeah, I think I'd say I pride myself on giving people time, and the open door policy, and just listening and trying to help and get those people back on track so that they can again go about their work and do their work in the best way possible. So yeah, that's probably one of my better traits, which translates to I talk too much.
No, it's going back to some of your values that you talked about, have been to excel, to collaborate. If we were to kind of think about that on a wider level, kind of a community, a wider society level, what ways could we potentially all work together for us as a society to thrive?
I think probably one of the key features is sort of getting involved. So you can only really understand the community and help it if you're becoming embroiled in it. So reaching out to organisations and trying to understand the needs and challenges that are being faced, and then you can identify where you can help and what you might be able to give. It's not always about money, it's giving time, skills, expertise, all sorts of things. But until the collaboration bit is the important bit. You've got to reach out, you've got to try to talk to these people or visit them, get involved in what they're doing, and actually understand what's going on. I think that's probably really quite important.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for today, because it's been really nice to kind of get to know you properly, and obviously meeting you at a networking event, we kind of sort of say hello in kind of passing, but also more to find out about the foundations of Ashby Connect and Fishers and what you do for the community, and long may it last, because I just want to say thank you, I suppose, from the attendees, the businesses, the local businesses in the area, that you're doing a great job, and let's all kind of work together to really allow it to thrive. So thanks, Ian. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me and for the kind words.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you.